Okay, good evening everybody and welcome back to Press Play. I'm your host JJ48 and tonight we will hopefully be finishing up Legend of Zelda A Link Between Worlds. So we had paused here at Hyrule Castle, we had made it part of the way down. However, before we go back in, there's something I wanted to check on. As I was getting some stuff together for the post-game analysis and was looking into some of the stuff about different characters, found something that seemed like might be interesting to check out. Hey, thank you, B. I have all my... Okay, good. I still have all my potions and everything, so that's good. Since we're already out of the castle, we might as... now would be the time to restock if we did need anything. I like how they use the sort of distortion effect between the worlds there to cover up the change in music. Welcome back, Mr. Hero. Maybe by tomorrow the sun is gonna glow. And maybe by tomorrow I'm not gonna stub my toe. Or maybe by tomorrow the snow is gonna blow. You know, it's been way too long since I've been in the singing mood. But I've got a new outlook on life, and it's all thanks to you, Mr. Hero. I thought I read he said something if we... I'm happy to describe my true calling life retirement. If we came to him after rescuing all the Mai-Mais, I thought he was supposed to say something. But... well, let's go check on the Mai-Mais. Came just in time. It's a bit sudden, but we must bid you goodbye. I'm off to a different dimension with my Mai-Mais. You're off to a different dimension? You just decide to pack up and go to a different dimension? Oh, but Mother Mai-Mai doesn't even know your name. Ah, JJ48. What a nice name. There's nothing more I could do to make it nicer. Oh, good friend of mine. What, if you didn't like my name, were you gonna suck me up like an item and then spit me out with a new name or something? My darling tykes owe you their lives. May we see you again by and by. Goodbye, goodbye, and thank you. Alright. Okay. Whoa. Okay, so that looked like that they might have transported. Yep, the water's empty. There's one Mai-Mai still here. What are you still doing here, little guy? Hello there. I'm the 72nd Mai-Mai you saved. Thanks for all your help. I hope you're not too offended if I say I don't know which one that makes you. I have no memory of what order I saved you guys in. Mom and the others have gone off, but I stayed behind. Time for me to be my own Mai-Mai. Okay. Hopefully I'll learn to be as good of a mother as my mother Mai-Mai. Wish me luck. Oh, okay, so I said this guy. I'd say that this gal, she's wanting to be a mother Mai-Mai. Alright. So I was looking up information about Mai-Mais and saw that figure. We should probably see that before and get to see them off. Get to see another one decide she's going to carry on the tradition of being a mother Mai-Mai. Ravi doesn't say anything different. Apparently just coming and talking to him was like the trigger that caused that response or something, even though he doesn't. So I was told I needed to come talk to him before... Oh, hey, golden bee. Sorry, but all my bottles are full, so... and I don't really need the rupees I'd get from selling you. But you can go attack that guy if you want. Thank you. Oh, and I don't know why I'm heading up to Hyrule Castle. I need to head over to Lowworld to visit Lowworld Castle. I lost a lot of hearts just by accidentally running into those guys. It wasn't even them attacking me, it was just me getting a little too aggressive. Alright. Let's go ahead and save our progress. And hopefully we will be able to make it the rest of the way through here. Okay. So what were we doing? We needed to beat these four bosses. Do I have a key? I do have a key. Okay, so I think we've done everything we can on these 2 floors. And we probably need to head upstairs, where we'll probably find the other 2. So we need a lantern for there. Got a compass. Now we can see the location of treasure chests and locked doors. Good. Hey. Yeah, invisible bridge here. Oh. Got the red mail. Damage from enemies has been halved again. Well, I have to say I'm actually a little bit disappointed by that because I tend to like blue better than red, but that's just how things go in the Zelda universe, so... Can't actually go that way. Or can we go that way? I wonder, is this... Are these like 2 small chains of bridges, or is it... Sorry, I accidentally bumped the cable there. Like, is there a bridge in the middle? Let's try that out. There is not a bridge in the middle. We do get another nice view of the Lorulian crest, though. I don't want to go that way. Let's just warp our way back up. I do kind of like this mechanic we've seen several times of putting out torches to discover new ways, because video games, we often use darkness to conceal... Oh, okay, did not mean to put a bomb there. Often use darkness to conceal things. I don't often use light to conceal things. Okay, so we need a hook shot for here, so... Since I already have my lantern out, let's go ahead and go this way. Oh, okay, I can't go that way because there's that post in the way. Oh. Well, I'll stop putting bombs. Okay. Okay, so if when we light the torch, these things retract, but we can't see the path. When we put it out, we can see the path, but we can't light it. And if I don't need bombs, I'm gonna grab rupees, and I don't need to worry about accidentally putting bombs down and running away from it. So, okay. So I'm guessing we're gonna need to kind of remember the path, because yeah, see this thing extended and it's blocking us. So we know walk straight past the first post to the second couple posts. And then, okay, I don't see a way how we're supposed to get back. But we do know that we need to go to the right. To the left, it looks like it's just a drop-off. We're not to that section yet. So, alright, let's see if we can do this. Okay, so then through here. Okay. know why I'm still collecting rupees. We're at the maximum, so... So we go this way. Zigzag, and then there's a thing right there. Okay. Here. Remember this post. Around, and then okay, this large area. Okay, so this one. We have the thing up there. Okay, this is where our chest, not our chest, our door is, if we, once we get a key. Oh, that's, okay, we have a very narrow ledge there, but if it looks like we're just below these posts, we should be fine. I think probably up to here. Okay, we got a key. But then what's the rest of this room? Okay. Before we head up, just want to see what I have here. Okay, we can't really put it out. What happens if we use this? Take us back to the beginning of the room. Okay. So this is back at the beginning. And this is a shortcut. I bet this takes us to the other pad that was next to the first one. So if for some reason we had to leave the room, we could get back here fairly easily. We wouldn't have to go through the whole puzzle again. Okay. Oh. Okay, yeah, that's how we deal with you. Okay, but it looks like... Is that the boss here? It looked like it was just one of the... Could have put that down, we might have been able to see him a little better. But... it looked like it was just one of the ball and chain soldiers. Okay. I guess that makes sense with that symbol there. So where's this symbol? Yeah, I guess it looks like a ball and then a coil of rope or chain. Okay. I don't remember a particular boss fight like that before, so I wonder if they're mixing it up now. Yep. That is not what I need. That's what I need. Oh, if you could break this for me, please. Thank you. Okay, I remember this guy. Rupee. Just great. Okay, thing is, I know even if I take you out, I'm not gonna... I'm just gonna come back pretty fast. Yeah. Oh, if I would have started a little farther back, I would have landed on that thing. Okay. Main thing I don't want is to get caught on one of these traveling platforms with you. Okay, so we have these things. Did throwing a bomb on those work, or did we need... No, we needed to, like, collect the eye from somewhere and throw it on. That's right. Yeah, see, there's an eye over there. Oh, do I need to get you to push this button? Okay, I wouldn't have killed you if I'd known I'd need you right away. Okay, well, take your time. Thank you. Oh, are we gonna need to, like, get him to squash one of those buttons while we stand on the other one? Yeah. Okay, that was a bit off. Went a little too early. Let's do the ones that are next to each other, so that one might be... Okay. It's easier to do it when he's up on top. There we go. Thanks, buddy. Oh, yeah, I'm gonna need you to bring this down for me, if you would. All right. Okay, let's... okay. This thing is apparently in the way. Ah! No, don't do that, Link! Okay. Good, the game is smarter than I am, so... Get stuff in place for this. I forget if I mentioned this last time we encountered this guy, or if it's... This is really reminding me of Twilight Princess in the Twilight Realm, when we had to get, like, we had to get those orbs, orbs of light, and they were... So how do we get up? And then whenever we picked them up, the hand would start coming after us, and we'd have to keep stunning it. Okay, well, that gets us somewhat of the way. Somehow I need to get over there. Oh. That's true. You can just walk on walls. It's an ability we've been using the entire game, yet sometimes I still forget about it just because it's just unique to this game. Okay, how do we get this over there? Oh! I think I know what we need to do. Okay, so let's put you there. I think we can stand on that thing to use the hook shot over there. We're just going to need to wait for it to come back. Ah, okay, just a little bit too short. There. So There we go. Good. So are we gonna fight the... We're gonna fight the big hand again? No, we're fighting you. Okay. I guess that makes sense. You're the one for hook shot. Can I block this? Okay. No, it's not really the laser we're blocking, it's the... Alright, there we go. You weren't so tough. Now I've got a red tunic. Oh, yep, and there's... That one looked like the eyeball covered with a bunch of smaller eyes. Okay. Well, let's see what's through here. Oh. Okay, this is... Isn't this where we came out initially? Okay, look out the window. Not directly. We can kind of see there's some storm going on outside. Although, see the low roll crest over the door there. I am kind of curious just what it looks like. Just what it looks like to go through here with the red tunic, since normally we'd do it blue and then we'd kind of get that inverted where it's red. Are we going to see an inversion where it's blue? Let's just pop through and pop back. Oh, no, it inverts to green. Oh. There's fairies hanging out here. So, okay. Little secret healing spot on before we presumably face the final challenge. So I'm trying to remember, maybe when we went through... Did we get the blue ring before we went through the first time? If not, if we went through while it was green, did it go like green, flash to blue, back to green, then when we were blue, flash to red, and then now that we're red, it's flashing to green? Yeah, we're pretty high up. Oh, music's going away. So I've got invulnerability potion. Probably be using some of that. And a blue potion, restore all of our hearts. We'll use the... If we get to where we're beeping, we'll use the blue potion. Invulnerable... I think I'll try to use that when we... probably not right at the beginning of the boss fight, but... usually these boss fights have a couple stages, so when we get to like the second stage or so, we'll use that. Throne room. Isn't the throne room supposed to be where, like, a monarch receives people, makes judgments and rulings and things? Having it way up here in the tower, we have to go through all this stuff to get to it, seems like it'd be very inconvenient to hold court. Wait a second. Can't adjust the camera while I'm on the wall. But up on top here, That you can kind of see tusks there. I think that's a Ganon face. Let me see a better view over here, maybe. Not really. But oh, hello. Sorry, didn't mean to keep you waiting. You have done well to come so far, hero of Hyrule. I trust you now have the Triforce of Courage. Okay, so we got that's Zelda's Hyrule of or Triforce of Wisdom. Perhaps it's only fair that I share a story with you. It's the legend of how Lorule fell to its current condition. Long ago, Lorule possessed a sacred golden treasure. It could grant the wish of anyone who touched it. Yeah, I've heard about that. It was known as the Triforce in our world, as it is in yours. Okay. Many sought to control the Triforce, plunging Lorule into endless war. Our kingdom was on the verge of ruin. Okay, we've seen similar things before in the Zelda timeline in Hyrule. My ancestors got rid of the Triforce to stop the war by destroying it, utterly and absolutely. It seemed a little bit excessive. It was done with good intentions, but it had disastrous consequences. The Triforce was the foundation of our world, and without it, our kingdom crumbled. Chaos has since reigned in Lorule. Okay. So, yeah, might recall back to... it's been referenced a couple times in the series. I think most memorable to me is Ocarina of Time. It talks about the creation of Hyrule and how after the goddesses created Hyrule, they left the Triforce. It's kind of a remnant of their divine power to help sustain Hyrule. So, powerful artifact, certainly potentially dangerous in the wrong hands. But, yeah, destroying it completely, just rejecting the gift of the goddesses. I'm assuming Lorule was created by either the same three goddesses or by corresponding ones. Simply rejecting that gift and also the power that presumably sustains the world, probably not a great idea. We need a Triforce. So imagine my surprise when I learned of the existence of another one. Yours. Uh-oh. The Triforce based on such virtues as power, wisdom, and courage. To that end, I have guided your destiny, hero of Hyrule. As the princess of Lorule, it is my duty to save my kingdom, so I know you'll understand it when I say... I must have your Triforce of Courage. What, you gonna fight me for it? Apparently. Okay, not the fight I was expecting. Oh. Yuga, I command you, seize the Triforce of Courage from him. Lorule shall be reborn. Wait for him to swing. Hit him a couple times before it's open. Well, you certainly didn't get the Triforce of original attacks. Come on. Alright, can I like hit him with something else? Maybe if I actually... Okay, those arrows seem to actually hit him. They seem to damage him when they hit him. How many hits does it take to stop you? There we go. Give me your Triforce of Power, Yuga. We mustn't be defeated. If we are, Lorule will be lost forever. Come now, obey me. Give it to me at once. My dear, sweet, deluded Hilda. What care have I to save your crumbling kingdom? It's no better than that hideous Hyrule. When the Triforce is mine, I plan to remake Lorule in my image. Now you, my dark beauty, must serve your purpose. Hey, what happened to Zelda's picture? Oh, okay, it's behind there. Can hardly decide which of my princess portraits is prettier, but I do know which of you foolish royal girls has what I need, and now it will be mine. Oh, he's got power and wisdom. At least the Triforces of him. Ha ha ha! I shall soon take my rightful place among the gods. And then the beauty of destruction will rain down upon this world. Well, yeah, well, I've still got courage. Now, I'll be taking that last piece of the Triforce from you, worm. How far you've wriggled, but at last, you know your true destiny, to give me what's mine. No, I disagree. Okay. That's not what I want. We won't drink this just yet. Oh, we know this game. Ah, okay. A little too early. Ah, hey, changes it up. When it like turns yellow, it slows down a little bit. There we go. Ah. Hey. Hear me, it is I, Princess Zelda. Your current weapons will be useless while Yuga is a painting, so I bestow upon you, my hero, one more gift. Got the Bow of Light. Its light banishes evil. You can use it only when you're a painting. Okay. And look, the bow is kind of like wings, like the wings of the Hyrule Royal Crest. Or, as we know from Skyward Sword, kind of like the wings of the Loft Wings, which seem to be where Hyrule's Royal Crest came from. This bow is imbued with the light of the Triforce. It can be fired only while you are merged into a wall. Yuga cannot escape its radiance, not even in his painted form. Now, for the sake of our worlds, let fly these arrows, and may your aim be true. I don't know how you gave us a bow that can only be used while we're painting, but okay. Oh, okay. I wish they would, like, shoot it out of the wall, across the room or something. Oh, do we need to, like, get him to go there and hit him from behind? So I was blocking one. Okay. Ow. Don't do that. Okay. Aha. Hey, why don't you go on the wall again? That worked out well for you last time. Okay, had a little bit of a different attack there. Okay, I'm gonna drink this, 'cause this part's irritating. Ah, I'm invulnerable. Can't hit me when I'm invincible. Although, I just realized playing a lot of Kuko Rush actually kind of prepared us for this part of the fight. Oh, multi-ball. Okay. Gonna kind of up the game a little bit. Aha! Where are you? Well, what? Oh, can I shoot it the other way? Aha! Yeah, weren't expecting that, were ya? So you see, your fatal weakness was to fight me in a round room. Or any room where the walls all connect. Okay, so... Yeah, so, our princess is still a painting. I probably should have checked on Hilda before coming over here. But she seemed like she was kind of knocked out, so... And the main things we wanted to see Zelda rescued. This is good. Oh, what more can I do? So it was you who had me imprisoned in the painting, Princess Hilda. So it was you? Obviously. Please, Princess Hilda. No one understands the sacred duty a princess has to her people more than I, but you can't. You understand nothing. Your kingdom has been under the protection of your Triforce. I mean, under the protection of, but also in danger of, because the whole Ganon thing. But that's... This isn't over. I must have it. Please, this has to stop. Oh, you've got silly sideburn tails, too. Who? So you must be low-roll version of Link. Well, funny story there. Your hero and I have gotten to know each other pretty well. Not long ago, I served Princess Hilda here in Low-Roll. So, begging your pardon, Princess Zelda, but would you mind if I intervene here? Your Royal Highness. You vanish on me and now come crawling back? Why? Forgive me, Your Highness. I'm a coward at heart. There was no way that I had the courage to stand up to you and Yuga. But I was smart enough to go to Hyrule. I knew they'd have a hero who could help me. Another betrayal? This hero has proven useful to me, but you wanted him to defeat me? I'm sorry, my princess, but it was with the best of intentions. I wish the best for our kingdom, but by ruining Hyrule? You'd bring out the absolute worst in Lowrule. You'd rather see Lowrule crumble? No, of course not, Princess. But there must be some other way. No. Don't you realize the reason your noble ancestors destroyed our Triforce was to stop such chaos? Good point. That's not what I... Look around you. Oh, hey, there we can see the Ganon head on the wall. A little better. Oh. Sorry, Ravi, I don't mean to interrupt you in kind of emotional moment. This is exactly what happened with our Triforce. Oh no. Princess Hilda, I just wanted to save you from all this. You, who've worried endlessly about the fate of Lowrule. Please, Princess Hilda, let's do the right thing. Lowrule may be doomed, but at least our kingdom won't be condemned for stealing their Triforce. And actually seems kind of a parallel to Midna. That Midna 2 was kind of initially at least focused more on just saving her kingdom rather than helping Hyrule as well, but the Midna came around quite a bit earlier than Hilda did. So, you're right. Princess Zelda, I've been led astray, tempted by the power of your Triforce, but I swear, I did it for my people. Okay, it's not really the issue here. Please, Princess Hilda, there is no need to. No, please, let me finish. We are so fortunate to have a hero like JJ48. What courage he has displayed. That alone proves that Hyrule deserves its Triforce. Now I will ensure that you leave this dark kingdom of mine safely, and with your Triforce. Please follow me. I know of a way that you can go home. Couldn't we just use the crack between the princess's offices? Welcome to Lowrule's Sacred Realm. Why is a princess making all the decisions for her country? It seems to be traditional. In this one, I'm not sure we've seen the King of Hyrule or of Lowrule, so either he's busy with something else and put her in charge, or maybe he's passed away and the princesses are the regents here. It's possible. I'm not sure we ever hear of a Queen Zelda in the series, so it could be that while, a male regent is still a king, maybe when a female ascends to the throne, she just keeps the title princess or something. Maybe that's what they call their ruler. Because yeah, I don't think we ever actually hear of a Queen Zelda. At least not in Hyrule. We hear of, we actually encountered the Queen of the Zoras in this game, but... So, welcome to Lowrule's Sacred Realm. Yuga discovered that there was a strange crack in this grim slate. Through it, we could sense that there was another world beyond ours, a place where the Triforce still existed. He and I devised the scheme that imperiled your kingdom, but I alone will set this right. Please now, if you will give me your bracelet. Yeah, the one that Ravio gave us that let us move around while we were painting. I should be able to use the last of its power to send the both of you home to Hyrule. It's been a pleasure, my friend. I got to meet a real, live, genuine hero. Ha, who knows? Maybe some of your courage rubbed off on me, so thanks. I think he's referring to how he was able to come back at the last minute to stop Princess Hilda, and try to speak some sense into her. No, she just turned us both into paintings. Can you hear me? Please, open your eyes. Oh, I'm so glad you're all right. And look. Oh, yay, our Triforce. And it's right side up. How wonderful, we're back home. You know, I've never seen the Triforce hole. Let's go take a closer look. These kind of look like the same birds we saw in Skyward Sword on the planet's surface. How terribly sad for Princess Hilda to be driven to such desperation. Her kingdom was in such a sorry state. She and I aren't as different as she thought. I really do understand why she needed our Triforce. Thanks to your heroic efforts, our Triforce and Hyrule itself have been made whole again. There is just one thing left to do. You restored the Triforce. Now just reach out and touch it. Whatever you wish, it will be granted. Yet, after all that we've seen, do we not share the same wish? Is this just a way for you to steal the wish and be like, oh yeah, I'm sure we're thinking the same thing, so you don't mind if I go ahead and wish for it, do you? Oh no, you are going to let me touch it? Okay. So you're also wishing for a new Zelda game this year, right? Oh, we're touching the Courage one, she's touching the Wisdom one, and nobody's touching Power because, of course, Ganon probably really wouldn't be in on this plan. Wished for a rock to blow up in their faces? Doesn't seem very nice. No, they get their Triforce back. You can tell it's theirs because it's upside down. Thank you, Princess Zelda. Oh, thank you. And you as well, Hero of Hyrule. Thank you. Okay. So with that, we reach the end of A Link Between Worlds. Let's see what we have in the credits. Okay, we have, getting his name, our friend, the blacksmith's son. There's his parents. Getting to play in the field once again. So in this one, the sages are not dead. That's good to know. A little bit of a happier ending than some of the former games. Saris, and there was the guard captain who had been turned into a painting. That restored as well. Yeah, blank on your name too. Yeah, Sahasrala's apprentice. Happy to have him back. There was Irene. I think she was in this one. Keep wanting to say Maple, but that's her counterpart in other games. Still need some work on the potion making, I guess. Forget her name, the Zora Queen, though. Zora's happy to have her back. This guy, the miner. Oh, he's training that guy to be able to pick up rocks. Impa. Yell at that guy for sleeping on the job. Oh, notice the corners of the picture frames are all right-side-up Triforces. All the people in Kakariko Village. Lady found someone else to give her affection to. Seems like maybe that's just her response to pretty much anyone. The Kuko Rush game, and it's people running it. And there's that guy. Yeah, glad to see he made it. Oh, there's the little Mai Mai, 72nd Mai Mai, who's gonna grow up to become her own mother Mai Mai. Zelda with the inverted Triforce. Oh, hey, it's Ravio in the background. So is this a new? This is a new painting showing the restoration of the Triforce at this adventure. All right. Oh, post-credits scene. Oh, yeah, we have to go return the Master Sword to the podium in the woods. This same thing happened at the end of Link to the Past. But it feels kind of interesting, especially after this game coming immediately after Skyward Sword, with meeting Fi as the spirit of the sword, Master Sword, and the importance of the creation of the Master Sword and everything. It kind of adds a whole new meaning of this, that this relic is not something to be held on to, like passed down as an heirloom among your family. It's used in when it's needed, and then it goes back to its resting place, in this case in the pedestal, until it's needed once again. It's I guess probably too big and important just to simply be a keepsake in a single family or anything, especially since, unlike the Zeldas, Zeldas are all part of the royal family. Links, I don't think we have any implication that all the Links are necessarily related. It's possible that some are the descendants of others, but others could just be uh, whoever the Triforce chooses as a hero for for that particular occasion. So, all right, let me see if get back to the. Oh, our total rupees, it'll extend into the tens of thousands. And times defeated twice. Okay. You can now play hero mode. Enemies will be tougher. You can select this mode when you start a new file. No, thank you, but cool. So, all right. Let's see if we can leave that as some music while we go through our post game. Maybe turn it down a little bit. Okay. Just let that play. Hopefully it doesn't crescendo too much. But all right, so a little bit of a post-game briefing here. First of all, we have our timeline. Remember, this is my personal timeline, just trying to figure out where things fit in. I decided to slot in Link Between Worlds just here after Link's Awakening. The similarities, we see a lot of similarities and connections to A Link to the Past. So I feel like it should be somewhat similar there before Hyrule has changed too much. And yet at the same time, I think it kind of alludes to A Link to the Past, as in the when we're hearing about like the legends and the old stories of Hyrule and the sages. It seems to be something that happened generations ago, so it's not an immediate sequel, but I think it's definitely happens not too long after, or I mean, not within like a couple decades or anything, but it's while the world still generally looks similar. I'm still not sure where to put in the Oracle's games. Kind of tempted to put them in the same area though, just because they remind me a lot of Link's Awakening. But all right. I didn't include the official timeline again because we don't really have an official timeline. The last one came out about the same time Skyward Sword did, and there wasn't another official timeline until I think just before Breath of the Wild, which will still be a couple games from now, so it would have just been the same thing as last time. So looking at some of the themes within the game, I know we mentioned this a lot, but I just keep wanting to bring it up because I feel like the Zelda series, we have a tendency to view it as Link, the lone hero who sets off to save the world all on his own. But we keep seeing that he actually gets help from a lot of people, and not just. I have down here Ravio's shop. Is kind of Ravio's helping him out with items and things, and I was gonna say helping him out if he falls, but actually no, Ravio just collects his own stuff if Link dies. But we consistently in the games we have to help. We have to get sages who can power up our sword or who can break barriers or do other things to be able to even allow us to beat the game. It's not just that they do things that benefit us, it's that we actually could not complete the game without them. So it's teamwork in much the same way that we've seen before, but I do want to reiterate. One thing I thought was interesting is looking at the sages themselves. We had Asfala, that's the wise man's apprentice. Gully, our friend, the blacksmith's son. Rosso was the miner. Orin, the Zora queen. Impa, nursemaid. Irene, and Ceres. A couple things stand out. First of all, we actually have 7 sages this time. Now, we've had 7 sages before, but usually one of them ends up being Princess Zelda. It's like Zelda is the chief sage and then the 6 other sages. Here, we just have 7 sages, and none of them are Princess Zelda. Although I guess Impa's still tied to the royal family as she's a servant of the royal family, but um, it's not the same thing. And another thing that stood out is thinking specifically of the sages. Um, sages we've seen before in Ocarina of Time. We had Saria, who's okay. She's not really royalty or leader among the Kokiri. She's just one of the really popular ones. But then we had Darunia as the chief of the Gorons. We had Princess Ruto as the one of the ruling Zora. We had Naburu as the second in command of the Gerudo. We had Impa as I think she was kind of the chief of Hyrule's guards or something. She had some kind of a prominent position there. Not, I think she was also Princess Zelda's bodyguard, but she wasn't just Princess Zelda's servant. She also had, she was also commanding guards around and stuff in ways that seemed to suggest higher rank. And she was the one who she was involved in the Sheikah and had opened up Kakariko Village. And then we had Rauru, who seemed like he was some kind of great priest or something. So all very prominent leaders as the sages. Here we have a couple apprentices, one to a wise man, one to a witch. We have the son of a blacksmith, a miner, a nursemaid, and a priest's daughter. The only one who seems really... I mean, Impa still commands some respect, but she doesn't seem like she's the captain of the entire army or anything. The only one who's really in a prominent leadership role is the Zora Queen. And so I find it interesting that we're kind of going with more humble sages this time. But I wonder if part of that is also the sages themselves. These 7 weren't necessarily chosen specifically to be sages. Like, they weren't hunted down because they were sages. They were hunted down because they were the descendants of the sages and carried the sages' blood. And I doubt that they were the only 7, because while, like, Ceres, her father's still alive, maybe it was her mother who was the descendant of the sages, and her mother's dead. But then we have Gully, who both his parents are still alive. So at least one of them would have some blood of the sages. And so I don't think we're meant to understand that these were... that Yuga identified these 7 are sages, and so I need to capture them. Rather, it was, in order to break the seal of the old sages, I need their descendants. So I just need somebody with their blood. So Gully was probably chosen. Yuga probably figured it was easier to get a kid than one of his parents, or maybe Gully likes wandering off on his own a lot, so it was just easier to find him before he found his parents or something. But then, in an interesting twist, these 7 do become sages, or are appointed as sages, and so it seems like it's kind of like Yuga, by selecting these 7 people, he himself chose who the sages would be. The reason Gully's a sage and not whichever of his parents is a descendant of the sages is because Yuga chose him, and so then when we freed him, that's when he awakened as a sage. So interesting. But yeah, interesting. We have the sages not only being less, being in more humble positions, but also not necessarily realizing that they're... there's no reason to think that they would have been, for them to have thought they would be sages until they were actually revealed as such. So, also, I don't think I come back to it, but I do like with Irene how initially we met her because, remember, she talked to the fortune teller, who told her, this is all going to be disaster. There's going to be a big disaster unless you look out for or protect the guy in green or something. And so she sees us wearing green is like, oh hey, I was told to help some guy in green, so I'm going to help you out. And had no idea why. And then as a result of running into us, then we actually had her broom to be able to help us out after she was kidnapped, and both to rescue her and then make help her realize she's a sage. So the fortune teller is an example of fortune teller being correct there. So, of course, one of the biggest themes specific to this game. Okay, covered. So, we kind of have this opposites with Hyrule and Low Rule. Low Rule, of course, kind of being a play on Hyrule, high and low. And we have a lot of opposites here, but also a lot of similarities. We have, the Triforce is very important to them, and it's inverted, which initially one might think maybe it's inverted because of the whole thing with it being destroyed and symbolic. But at the end, when Zelda and Link wished for them to get their Triforce back, the Triforce did come back inverted. So apparently that's just how their Triforce looked. But then the inversion does kind of point to certain things being kind of backwards or reversed. The first thing I think we notice is, well, not the first thing in game, since it actually didn't come about till the very end, but one of the first things I'd like to discuss is both kingdoms' approach to the Triforce. In Hyrule, they recognized, hey, this is a very important artifact of the goddesses. There could be evil people who want the Triforce and who are going to do terrible things if they get it. There have been several wars that have been referenced already within the Zelda series. So, what's Hyrule's response? We need to protect it. We need to make sure that the royal family is committed to protecting the Triforce, that we seal away evil and try to keep it away from the Triforce as best we can. Low Rule had a similar experience of, hey, people want this Triforce, there's bad stuff that can happen, so what do we do with it? We'll just destroy it. Not really, didn't really seem to put too much thought into that of, regardless of whether it's, hey, this is kind of the linchpin that's holding up all of creation, or whether it's just, hey, this was a gift from the benevolent goddesses. In either case, just flat out destroying it seems like a remarkably short-sighted plan. And it's kind of impressive that Low Rule lasted as long as it did. And to that end, I think partially as a result of that, we can see a lot of negative attributes with Low Rule. It's not entirely negative. There are some good things in there as well. But in general, it seems like a lot of the stuff in Low Rule is the bad side of Hyrule. The only thing that really stands out as an exception is their blacksmith seems to be a better blacksmith than Hyrule, since Hylian blacksmith said, yep, that's as good as sword as I can possibly make it, and then the Low Rule blacksmith was like, yeah, I can make it better. But apart from that, everyone else just seems to be kind of a downgrade. And to that end, I feel like Low Rule kind of has a connection to Hyrule's Dark World. Both in that A Link to the Past, the Dark World kind of took on the role that Low Rule does, the sort of inverse of Hyrule. But then even at the end, I feel like there's sort of an explicit connection there. When Hilda leads Zelda and Link to, she says, this is our kingdom's sacred realm, and then through here, this is how you'll get back to Hyrule. if you recall, in A Link to the Past, the Sacred Realm was where the Triforce had been kept in Hyrule, and there, when Ganondorf went through and took the Triforce, he turned the Sacred Realm into the Dark World, and that's why he was then sealed away there. So I feel like there's kind of a symbolism there of, in Hyrule, you go to their formerly Sacred Realm, at least at the time of Link to the Past, and it's the Dark World. In Lorule, find their Sacred Realm, and that leads you to Hyrule. So it kind of makes me wonder if... I don't think I'd quite go so far as to say that Lorule is the Dark World, but there's a lot of parallels. It's definitely taking on a very similar role. And in fact, if you wanted to, I think you'd have to play with the timeline a little bit. Like, what's the deal with Ganondorf in being in the Dark World? Did the Lorule, if Lorule was the Dark World, that means that they would have been hosting Ganondorf at some point. But might even say that's why the Dark World is a bit more traversable before, A Link to the Past, and then here, generations later, it's deteriorated more. Or maybe it lasted so long because Ganondorf was able to take the Triforce there or something. That's more speculation. I still feel like it's more Lorule's a separate entity from the Dark World. Then getting into more specific characters, we see the main three counterparts, Link and Ravio. Link, of course, is the hero of courage, representing the Triforce of Courage. Ravio is his counterpart, but he's a coward. He actually runs away from his duty because he doesn't think he can... he doesn't have the courage to stand up to Hilda and Yuga and say, like, hey, this is a bad idea, we shouldn't do this, much less actually go out and fight. So he just kind of stays behind and tries to make money. But at the same time, even though he's an opposite in the sense of courage, he still does seem to have this sense of duty and heroism. His his drive is still to go out and find a hero. Like he said, he was the one who realized, hey, Hyrule might have a hero who can stop these guys. So he wasn't Link's opposite in the sense of, like, well, Link cares about what happens and wants to do the right thing, and Ravio doesn't. It was just Ravio's... It's just their main trait was flipped: courage and cowardice. And then just a couple notes on his design. I seen a lot of speculation that, kind of similar to Lorule being a parallel of the Dark World, Ravio having this kind of rabbitish design seems to go along with, in A Link to the Past, when Link first goes to the Dark World and did not have the protection of the Moon Pearl, the Dark World changes you into into different forms that, like, just reveal who you are on the inside. And Link's form was this pink bunny who can't attack. So having a hero show up, or not a hero, but Link's counterpart from Lorule show up as a bunny who doesn't attack, seems rather fitting. I also noticed he has, I forget the bird's name, but he has his bird with them all the time, which doesn't parallel Link in this game, but does seem like maybe that could be a reference to Link in other games having a fairy companion or some other companion like Midna or something. Have Ravio with his companion. And then last thing for those two is, I'm not entirely sure, but I can't help but notice that if we put Ravio and Link together and then drop off the last couple characters, we have Ravioli. And I don't know if that was an intentional naming decision or if it just happened to work out that way. So Moving on then to Zelda and Hilda. Again, they're clear counterparts of each other, but whereas Zelda is wise, Hilda is foolish, both seeming to kind of, it seems to not just be them, but also the royal family in general. When we think back to High Rule and Low Rules, their protection, destruction thing. But Zelda is wanting to look at like, how can we solve this problem in a big way. Hilda is very short-sighted and just like, oh yeah, I can trust the evil guy to get me the Triforce of Power, and then once I have it, I'm sure he'll just hand it over and he'll be willing to help me out. There's also, you can also see a little bit of a difference between them in that, actually similar to what I said before about Midna in Twilight Princess having a similar mindset to Hilda, at least at the beginning, of wanting to save her own kingdom. Hilda here is very focused on just her kingdom. She doesn't care about what happens to Hyrule. She seems to know, presumably, that Hyrule is going to be completely destroyed if they take the Triforce, but she's like, what do I care? I'm just focused on my own kingdom. Whereas Zelda is the one who is looking bigger picture at both kingdoms and saying, hey, instead of just you taking our Triforce and our kingdom being destroyed, why don't we use our Triforce to wish for a new Triforce for you guys, and that way both of our kingdoms can be saved. And interesting, actually, just saying that Zelda is looking at a way that both kingdoms can be saved. Of course, that also brings up the fact that if Hilda had succeeded in taking the Triforce, essentially both kingdoms would have been destroyed. Hyrule, because it would have lost its Triforce, and Low Rule because, as was pointed out, the whole reason they destroyed their Triforce in the first place was because of this desire for power and the temptation and everything. And unlike Hyrule, they don't seem to have protections in place to guard against that. So it's almost certain that if Hilda had succeeded in taking Hyrule's Triforce, eventually Low Rule would have been conquered by either a Ganondorf type figure, or else just it would have just been destroyed in the wars for this new Triforce. Then I can't help but notice, again, commenting on the names, Zelda and Hilda, of course, are both the names of the aunts in Sabrina the Teenage Witch. And seeing as how we're referring to two linked characters who are both somewhat magical, I can't feel that that's a complete coincidence. I don't think it was like this is meant to be a direct allusion or reference that we're supposed to necessarily be thinking of Aunt Hilda and Aunt Zelda as we think of these characters, but I do feel like that was probably somewhat intentional. Maybe someone at Nintendo, had either seen the TV show or read the Archie comics or something, and said, "Oh, hey, we have this character named Zelda. Hilda's a character with, that it's a name that has similar spelling and would be a perfect counterpart for Zelda for this game we're creating with the multiple characters." So, again, I don't know that anybody from Nintendo's actually ever commented on it, but it's just my speculation. Then last we have Ganon and Yuga, whereas Ganon is, represents the the Triforce of Power. Yuga is actually pretty weak on his own. Initially, he's taking orders from Hilda. He has some ability turning people into paintings, but he doesn't really seem to be able to use that for fighting a lot. It's more just kind of trapping people. It's not until he kind of combines with Ganon that he really becomes a powerful threat. And for him, I threw on this picture of Aghanim from A Link to the Past, because we see a very similar role here, again, of a mage who comes in, um, seems to be an initial villain, and then ends up leading us to the actual villain of Ganon. In Yuga's case, he combined with Ganon. In Aghanim's case, it's either a servant of Ganon or he was like an avatar of Ganon or something. But in either case, we only see Yuga in this form really in the mostly in Hyrule, not in Lowrule, and we only really see Aghanim, at least for much of the game. We only see him in the Light World. Except, I guess there is like one fight with him in the Dark World at the very end, but. So yeah, in general, I do find it interesting that whenever you have a story where you're dealing with opposites, you have to try to figure out how opposite are you going to be. And in this case, again, it looks like they primarily focused on the main Triforce characteristics of courage, wisdom, and power, and made that the opposite. So again, Ravio still has a good heart. He has a desire to do good. He knows he wants to help out. He just is too cowardly to do so directly. Hilda is still a princess who wants to save her people. She's not abandoning the throne. She's not trying to do things completely out of touch with that. She's doing it in a very foolish way. Yuga is still evil and still desires power. He just doesn't have the power necessary initially to get it himself, and has to work with Hilda on her plan until he can get enough of it to do things on his own. By merging with Ganon, who does have lots of power of his own. So we just seem to be flipping primarily their main element, not their main characteristic, not every single characteristic about them. And then one more thing, I just wanted to touch on a couple themes. I haven't been looking at these before. I actually noticed after I recorded after we did our last outbrief of Skyward Sword. So at some point, I'm going to upload a episode 200.5 that touch upon this in Skyward Sword, and the previous one's a little bit more in depth. So here I won't go into the full details, but just a couple things I'm noticing throughout the series. Not necessarily in every game, but that do seem to pop up time and time again. First is a change of villain, where we had, much of the game we're going after Yuga, and it's okay, we're going after Yuga, and we need to stop Yuga. Then he merges with Ganondorf, and it's like Yuga Ganondorf, and we need to go after him. And then at the very end of the game, we find out, it was actually Hilda the whole time, but then Ganondorf's going to Yuga Ganondorf's going to subvert her. Like, it seems like we often see this in a lot of the Zelda games, that there's an initial villain that we start off going after, and then as we get into the game, we eventually find out that they were actually just a pawn of a bigger evil. Just thinking recently in Skyward Sword, we saw that with Girahim just being kind of a pawn of, or being the literal sword. He's literally an item of demise. So, and again, in the other video when that's uploaded, we go into a little bit more into some of the previous ones as well. And then we also see consistently throughout the series, or in many of the games throughout the series, we see an element kind of loss or farewell. I don't want to say it's necessarily a tragic ending, but we do kind of have this sort of bittersweet ending. The one that sticks out, well, I'll just reference back to Skyward Sword since we did that one recently. Seeing Impa die at the end, seeing Fi say her farewell, and she's gonna basically sleep forever within the Master Sword, never to be actually seen again. We see this a lot in the series of things are happy, it's a good ending, but there's still some element of it that's kind of sad. That just makes it a little bit bittersweet. In here, with this one, we actually subverted it in, I think, 2 ways. First of all, it looked like Ravio getting through to Hilda and Hilda sending Zelda and Link back to Hyrule was going to mean the end of Lorule, so it was going to be okay, Hyrule is saved, but at the cost of Lorule, one of these kingdoms is going to be destroyed. And then we subvert that with nah, we just recovered, we just got our Triforce completed. That means we get a wish, and we're just going to wish things better. And so, excuse me. And so, this, it seems like we're deliberately setting up for this kind of a loss, or I guess in this case it actually would have been a rather tragic ending. But then we're going to subvert it and be like, nah, fooled you. And the other way I think that this is somewhat subverted, touched on before, is the sages themselves. In our little credit sequence, we got to see all of the sages go reunite with their families and loved ones and come back. That's not usually what happens with sages in the Zelda series. In Ocarina of Time, which is probably the best parallel to this, well, best parallel might be the descendants of the sages in Link to the Past, but just thinking of the sages in Ocarina of Time, since they're the first ones that get names and we know who they are and everything, there's kind of the implication that all the sages have died, or either have died or have passed on to some spiritual sense that they're no longer able to return to their loved ones. And so here, before heading off to Lorule Castle, the last time we see the sages was they're all in this the sage sanctuary or whatever it is, and they're like, yeah, we're gonna help you out. We'll be doing the sage thing, powering you up, lowering, breaking seals, whatever needs to be done. But it's kind of the same thing that was done in Ocarina of Time, and so there's kind of this wondering, will any of these people be returning? Are they kind of dead? When we pulled them out of their picture frames, did we basically pull them into an afterlife of being a sage or something? Then the credit sequence is no, they're fine. Gully went back to his parents. Irene gets to go back to her grandma and continue learning to be a witch. The Zora Queen gets to go back to her people, and they're all happy. And so, just the way that it's done, I feel like it almost seems to me like this wasn't just we want a happy ending. It seems like they were almost deliberately, subverting this idea that we've seen throughout the Zelda series. And I don't know that was necessarily exactly what was on their mind, but it just seems very different from how some of the games have been, at least. So, again, music has been a very important part of the Zelda series. As far as diegetic music that's actually in the game, that the characters themselves are hearing, there's not... I don't know that there's a lot. I guess I missed the guy in the milk bar. But we do have Irene's bell. If we want to get technical, I think that would be the only real instrument that we, as the player, have in the game. But also Mother Maimai's upgrades. When she was doing our upgrades, there was a little song playing, and there would seem like a choir accompaniment that seemed to be all of the Maimais, all of her babies joining in the singing. So I'm assuming that that's actually diegetic. That like if Link in that cave is actually hearing these Mai singing their little upgrade song while the items are getting upgraded. Then as far as non-diegetic music, we do reuse a lot of music from Link to the Past. The overworld themes, the dungeon themes, I think the cave themes. So really highlighting the parallels to that game. I mean, there's a lot of music that gets reused throughout the Zelda series, but here it's not just, hey, we have a theme showing up again. It's we're using the exact same music in the exact same places, just maybe upgraded with a um, newer instrumentation. Um, and actually, come to think of it, as we've been hearing in the background, the title screen going on, the fanfare and and the um the Triforce uh, Triforce coming in to the triumphant fanfare. It's pretty much exactly what Link to the Past did, I think, to the exact same music. So definitely wanting like using the music to highlight the similarities to A Link to the Past, even more so than just the visuals and gameplay have been doing. And then, as I mentioned, also using this when we're traveling between the worlds through the rifts, using kind of a distortion of the music, both to make it feel like we're kind of in this unsettling area between the worlds, and also to, I think, somewhat hide the fact that we're transitioning from low rule music to high rule music, and vice versa, without having to just do like a fade out and fade in. It makes it seem like it's a little bit more of a twisty transition there. So, and actually, speaking of the milk bar with the diegetic music, I did forget to look up exactly why, uh, especially in the Zelda series, um, we have a milk bar so often. I think just based on what I've seen in other manga and anime and things, I think it's just a deliberate kind of joke of milk is uh, in many cultures, but especially in, you know, in Japan in this case, milk is seen as you drink milk when you're a kid. Like grown-ups don't generally just drink a lot of milk unless they're uh, unless like your doctor tells you you have to, because you need more calcium or something. Um, and so I think by having a bar that is like, oh, this is where all the grown-ups go to drink milk secretly, and all the kids aren't allowed in, even though like what they're drinking is normally something that's associated with kids. I think it's just kind of a joke in that sense. Um, I'll try to look that up more, see if there's anything more to it. But it, from what I've seen in Japanese culture, it just seems like that's the main thing is just milk generally being associated a with children, and probably also it could also be something in the video game specifically in order to try to keep the rating down. Um, I don't know how Japan handles uh, handles their ratings of their games, but like in the United States, you know, there it's possible that references to alcohol might slightly bump up the rating, or if something's right on the edge. And so Nintendo, now that they're selling stuff internationally, might be like, if we make it a milk bar, then people can't really use that to bump up the rating of the game, the H rating, I should say. So, uh, briefly wanted to mention, since this is on a 3DS, um, they actually did use the 3D, I think, to some pretty good effect here. If you're not familiar with the 3DS, um, let's hold up the one I've been using so you can see about the size of it. There's the top screen here is actually done in. You can make it 3D, where it's sort of like those. I would say it's kind of like those little cards that have a moving picture on them if you look at it from different angles. Except here it's two video screens at slightly different angles, or where if you keep your eyes at the right distance from it, it just looks like everything's in 3D. Um, Unfortunately, not really something I could show on the stream. It's the Twitch stream is going out to TVs and computers that are not really set up to do that. So without a special screen to do that, it just doesn't look proper. And actually, the video output that you see, a couple times I turned the 3D on, and you probably didn't even notice anything in the stream because it's only showing one of the screens. It doesn't show like two of them in a blurry effect or anything. But I did appreciate that. I think they used it well in a couple spots, or numerous spots. But like for instance, on the Kuko Rush game, it was very helpful for problem solving, because the 3D effect did help. At one point, I turned it on, and it did help be able to distinguish between which Kukos are flying high above, that they're going to fly over Link, and you don't have to worry about them, versus which ones are on the ground, and Link has to actually dodge them. There's some tells that I think the color was a little bit different, and you can see the shadow underneath this one, so you know it's kind of higher up there. But when you're moving around fast, it can be hard to pick up on those things fast enough to react. Having the 3D on just helps a little bit more of like, oh, I can see this one's higher. I don't need to really worry about him. And then I also showed this was the inside of Death Mountain. This one seemed like it was less of a puzzle aspect. I mean, there was a little bit of trying to line up the platforms, but in general, it didn't seem like you really needed the 3D on in order to line them up. But here it was more of like a storytelling aspect of when you have the 3D on, man, it really feels like you're a lot higher up. And you jump down, and it already feels like it's a little bit of a drop just from how long it takes. But when you have the 3D on, the fall just feels a lot more intense. So I think they used examples of being able to use the technology both for puzzle purposes and for storytelling purposes to kind of add another dimension to how you're sensing and taking in a scene. Looking through Link's loves, the only one I really felt like adding here, maybe that scene at the end, maybe I should have thrown in the Zelda on this one, but before that, there didn't seem like there was a lot of hints of like Zelda romance. The main thing I saw was just in the mural at the end. The Zelda in that mural kind of looking at Link like, oh, my hero. And I hadn't actually seen that scene until we got there, so I didn't include it while I was making these slides. I did include her name was like the well-dressed lady or something. She was the lady that we went through her house a bunch of times because that's where one of the rifts was, and every time we came through, she blew Link a kiss. Seemed like she was kind of a little bit flirty there, so I think I'll include her. I think I'd include her on here. Although we did see during the end credits, she was also acting the same way towards some of the singers in Kakariko Village, so it could be that she's just has a thing for anybody who smiles nicely at her or something. I'd also considered adding Irene on here, since she did seem to really hit it off with Link, but I didn't really read anything romantic in what she said. It was just very friendly. She went from being kind of standoffish to being like, hey, yeah, feel free to ask for rides anytime. I'd love to, even once this is over, we can still hang out, kind of thing. and just seemed like she was more friendly rather than romantic. And I know we've included friends on here before. I think in particular, uh, Minish Cap, Zelda, and Link were childhood friends. I'm not sure there was a lot of romance there either, but I included her on here just because that was more of a the childhood friends to romantic partners thing is more of a trope, whereas Irene's just seems like genuinely just happy to be included as hang out with some new friends. So, and I'm also personally a little bit. Uh, I'm not a big fan of the whole idea of anytime you have characters, especially like a boy and a girl who are friendly with each other, that means they have to be romantically involved. So I figured Irene, leave her off unless we see signs of her being more of a uh, having more of a romantic interest. So, right, and with that, I think we're done. For our next game, we are going to be doing something a little bit different. Mostly through this series, we've been just looking at the mainline Zelda games. Um, but for our next game, we're going to be looking at one of the spin-off games. It's very different gameplay, and it's not really doesn't really fit in the timeline like some of the other games do. We'll talk more about that when we actually start it. But we're going to be playing through Hyrule Warriors. And I think it's going to be a lot of fun. And this is actually there's actually 2 Hyrule Warriors games out now, with a third one coming. So it seems like Nintendo's really been really happy with how these are going. That they're using them as ways of telling kind of side stories and alternate stories, things going forward. So I figured it'd be a good idea, since this is about the time in our real world timeline when the first Hyrule Warriors came out. It thought it'd be a good time to include it and go through that. And I will be playing through the definitive edition, which was the version on the Switch. Originally, it was on previous consoles, and the Switch version, kind of like how they did with Mario Kart 8, just sort of took what they had, made it HD, and then threw all the DLC together, the downloadable content and expansions, so you could have it just all together in a single game instead of having to try to collect it on an older game. So, but like I said, we'll talk about that more next time, and I think it'll be kind of fun and interesting to kind of take a different type of look at some of the Zelda content. So, with that, I think I should be available. We should be starting that, I think, next Monday. I should be available, and I'm still planning on um, some Kingdom Hearts content on Friday. I think I should be available at the normal time, but there's a possibility I won't be. I'll try to keep the Twitch updated if I'm going to be late or if I have to cancel. So, but for now, we'll just plan on both days at normal time. So with that, thank you for joining me. Have a good week, and I will see you next time. Bye.